best-selling author, intellectual titan and Sky News contributor Douglas Murray is in Israel and joins me now. Douglas, always a pleasure talking to you.
Great to see you.
You also. Now, the Palestinian Authority has turned down the two-state solution as many times as Israel has agreed to make painful concessions for peace. What is it going to take, do you think, for Western leaders to stop pushing for what would, in reality, be a nightmare, not only for Israel, but for the world at large, and to realise the Palestinian Authority have never, will never want a two-state solution? They want no Israel.
Well, that's right. I mean, there's a very strange thing that's happened in recent months, which is that in Israel, the two-state solution question has been arguably sort of settled for some years, in that it's perfectly obvious after what happened on October 7th that Israel cannot live, the Israeli people cannot live beside a terror group that wishes to annihilate them, because sometimes that terror group will get lucky and actually have a go. So in Israel, there's very understandable. What's strange is in that same period, seeing foreign statesmen and others come into Israel and say, you know, this is why you need to double down on the two-state solution. There's several problems with that. One is just the moral one of, to say that this is the time to create a Palestinian state, which even the left and centrists in Israel absolutely don't say anymore, is to say, because of October the 7th, the Palestinians should be rewarded with a state. Well, that just incentivizes and rewards terror. The second thing is that the West Bank, which could have been part of a Palestinian state, is so close to all of central Israel, including the city I'm sitting in this morning, Tel Aviv, that they would be able to fire not just rockets, but artillery across the whole of Israel, like Hamas did on the West Bank and in Gaza. And nobody thinks that's really possible. And the final thing is that, as you know, Western politicians seem to think that the Palestinian Authority are sort of good guys, and Hamas are admittedly the bad guys. Sometimes they admit that. But that therefore you should give stuff to the good guys. The thing is, the Palestinian Authority are not good guys. Among other things, they have amazing amounts of support for Hamas. There's enormous support for Hamas within the West Bank. If there was an election there, Hamas would almost certainly win. And here's the other thing. Much of the Palestinian Authority's current budget, paid for, by the way, by international taxpayers, including Europeans, Americans, I think Australians, much of the budget of the Palestinian Authority goes to the so-called slave-for-pay rewards, which is money from the Palestinian Authority budget, which goes to the terrorists who carry out attacks on Jews, and if they're killed, to their families, to reward them on a scale that advances depending how high in casualty figures your terrorist attack was. This is money for terrorists paid by the PA, paid to the families of terrorists to reward and incentivize terrorism. That's the Palestinian Authority. And they have just admitted, or boasted, in fact, that they are going to pay the terrorists and families of the October 7th attack. How is this a viable peace partner?
Imagine thinking that they should be allowed to run a country. It's just unbelievable that the West is still spouting the same old, same old. It just shows a complete lack of sense of reality of what is going on in there. And as if any Israeli is of a mind to adopt such a policy now. It's unthinkable.